What are the pros and cons of living in Hamilton, Ontario? That's one of the most common questions I get from people that are thinking of making a move to the area. And today we're going to look at both the good and the bad. And you're going to want to stick around until the end because some of the bad might actually cost you money. If we haven't met yet, I'm Mike Santos. I'm a local realtor here in the GTA, and on this channel, you'll find real estate information that no one else is sharing with you. All right, let's dig into it. First, let's quickly cover where exactly is Hamilton, Ontario. So this is just outside of the Greater Toronto area. It's about 45 minutes to Mississauga and about an hour and 15 minutes outside of downtown Toronto. You're also about 45 minutes from Niagara Falls and about an hour from Kitchener-Waterloo and the US border. One of the biggest pros and reasons that people move to Hamilton is the affordable real estate. Now, Hamilton is a huge city. Back in 2001, it amalgamated 5 different municipalities. So you can find everything from a downtown condo, an historic home, you can find countryside property, suburban property, it has everything. So when we talk about Hamilton, this can mean any city from Hamilton to an Ancaster, a Dundas, a Stoney Creek. These are all very different and unique areas. So we have to be a little bit careful when we group them together in terms of affordability, but overall compared to the GTA, you can still get a lot more value for your money. So one of the biggest reasons that people move to Hamilton is affordable real estate. You're not going to be up to the absolute max of your budget here. You can get into a condo or a townhome, especially for first-time home buyers. And those that are looking to upsize, they can definitely find something that is going to fit their entire family for the long term compared to places like an Oakville or a Burlington that are close by. One of the biggest reasons why people move to Hamilton is for the location and connectivity. As I mentioned, you're only about 45 minutes to Mississauga, even less to Oakville and Burlington, about an hour and 15 minutes from downtown Toronto. Again, these are all traffic dependent, and at certain times of the day, of course, during morning and evening rush hour, it's going to be busier, especially when you're trying to go over the Skyway Bridge. But if you want to be in the most central location to get you to all these different major hubs, like a Mississauga or a Toronto or Niagara Falls or Kitchener-Waterloo, for example, you can't really beat Hamilton's location. And within the city of Hamilton itself, as I mentioned, this is a huge city. This is spanning areas like Stoney Creek and Ancaster and Dundas. And you have major highways within the city that can get you in and around and through the city pretty quickly. You have the QEW, you have the LINC, the Lincoln Alexander, you have the Red Hill Parkway, the 403. There's lots and lots of options for people that are going to be commuting, not only outside of Hamilton, but within Hamilton itself as well. And for a lot of people, when they're combining their 2 biggest priorities, a lot of the times that is, of course, affordable real estate and location. Hamilton just checks both of those boxes. Just a quick break here. If you're finding value in this video, go ahead and hit the like button below. It will help other people to find content like this. Okay, that's it. Let's get right back to it. Another huge pro of living in Hamilton, and I think this is super underrated and one people don't even really know until they've actually bought a house and moved to the city. It is a super outdoorsy city. There are so many natural trails, and you have waterfalls. This is literally called the waterfall capital of the world. So many green spaces and areas to explore. And because it's such a huge city and you have the Niagara Escarpment that essentially cuts through half of the city, there is so much natural beauty as you walk and drive around the city. There are over 3,480 acres of city parks, over 7,500 acres of conservation land, and more than 49 kilometers of trails. There are over 155 waterfalls, including some really amazing ones like Albion Falls, Webster's Falls, and the Devil's Punchbowl. You can also visit the Royal Botanical Gardens, which are close by. This is a UNESCO biosphere. It has about 27 kilometers of walking trails and 5 gardens. This is a great place to visit any time of the year. And if you're into hiking or walking, there are so many great trails. You have the Bruce Trail and the Red Hill Trail, just to name a couple. Basically, if you're any kind of outdoorsy person or you want to be one, then Hamilton is an amazing place to be, and definitely an underrated pro that I think a lot of people are not aware of before they make the move. Another big pro of living in Hamilton is there's just a ton to actually do here. And again, it's one of those things that people don't really realize before they make the move, just how many community centers and recreation centers and festivals that there are going on through the city all year round. There are over 60 community centers, 23 library branches, and a growing list of pet-friendly patios and dog parks. If you're into festivals, there are tons here throughout the year. You have ones like Supercrawl, art crawl, beer fest, and if you're into maybe one that's a little bit more family friendly than that, personal favorite of mine, one I take my daughter to, is the Winona Peach Festival. And that happens in August. So if you're watching this and it's around that time, make sure you check it out. It's near the end of August. And if you're looking for arts and culture, you have the Art Gallery of Hamilton, you have the Theatre Aquarius, the newly renovated FirstOntario Center. There's always something happening within the city itself. And if you're into food or looking for a city that's going to have more options than a sleepy suburb, Hamilton definitely checks that box. A big pro is the solid and growing food scene here. And if you're into sports, then Hamilton is a great scene as well, because you have both the Ticats, of course, in the CFL, and you have Forge FC, which play out of the Canadian Premier League. So two really good options if you don't want to pay the prices of the Jays and the Raptors and the Leafs especially. Get some more small town but still professional sports at a much better price. And for golf enthusiasts, you have over 30 courses here. Whether you're a beginner or you're not very good like me, there are easier courses to play. And if you're someone that's really, really good, you have PGA level courses here, ones that have hosted the Canadian Open before. So any skill level you can find anywhere in and around Hamilton, and this is again a huge area, so you can find tons of golf courses within about a 30 to 45 minute drive. Another big pro about Hamilton is the access to healthcare here. Something that's really not that well known, but this is a specialty care city. You have 3 major hospitals, including Hamilton General, St. Joseph's, and Juravinski. Each hospital is well known for its own specialty services. For example, Hamilton General is well known for its cardiovascular services. Juravinski is known for its cancer surgery and services. And then St. Joseph's is well known for anything from respiratory care to mental and health addictions to women and pediatric care. So if you're someone that needs access to healthcare, specialty services, or it's a priority for you as maybe you're getting older or you have young kids and you're thinking about pediatric care, then Hamilton is definitely a great place to live. And this is definitely a huge pro and one that people don't think about. So if you haven't thought about it, definitely put it on your list as well. And as promised, we're going to talk about the cons now, because every city has them and we need to know about them before we move. So what are the cons of living in Hamilton, Ontario? Well, the biggest is going to be the perception of crime and safety. That is sort of the reputation of Hamilton, the old Hamilton, especially near the downtown core, is that it is unsafe. And while it is not as unsafe as some major cities, it definitely ranks behind closer cities, especially ones in Halton, for example, that people will compare to, like an Oakville or a Burlington. It does rank behind those. But if you're going to be living outside of the downtown core, outside of that area, you're going to look at places like Ancaster, Dundas, the Mountain, Stoney Creek. Those areas don't have quite the same safety issues. So when we talk about Hamilton and its crime and sort of how it feels a little bit unsafe, that's more limited towards the downtown area or lower Hamilton. So you don't necessarily need to trade off safety for you or your family when you're moving to Hamilton. It's just going to take a little bit more research in terms of where you should move exactly. One of the biggest reasons that people either leave Hamilton or don't end up moving to Hamilton is because of schools. So when it comes to public schools, unfortunately, the majority rank well below the Ontario provincial average. But it's not all bad news when it comes to schools. Again, this is going to be location dependent, and for people who are looking at Catholic schools as an option, those actually rank above the provincial average. So it kind of just depends on certain circumstances. If you want to learn more about the schools, dig a little bit deeper into them, you can find all of that information on my website, just linked down below in the description, and you can get the latest rankings and reports. But again, it's not all bad when it comes to schools, especially there are some great specialty schools within Hamilton. At the high school level, you have Westdale, which is a very unique program. Check that one out because I think it's something that will be interesting to you if you're looking for a high school option for your child. But overall, I would say that schools are definitely a con when it comes to Hamilton and a reason people choose not to move here. When it comes to cons, I would say that Hamilton's downtown still skews towards the cons part, but I think in the future it definitely become a pro. But right now it's kind of in transition. While some areas have been revitalized with cool restaurants or music venues and public arts, other areas still definitely feel gritty and underdeveloped. For people expecting a super vibrant sort of mini Toronto, downtown Hamilton can be pretty jarring for them. It just isn't what they expect. And a lot of that can come down to the issues of one-way streets and time streets in downtown Hamilton. It can kind of feel like a freeway at times. You have these really wide roads that are only one way, and traffic is just constantly moving. So this doesn't really make it easy for ground floor retail and that sort of community feel to be developed, because cars are just sort of flying by. It doesn't make them super walkable. It can make them dangerous at times, especially for pedestrians and cyclists. So this is one of the issues that Hamilton is going to have to grasp with in the future. And I think that overall, this is still a con of living in Hamilton, but I have high hopes for downtown Hamilton and the plan that's coming, and I think one day it will be a huge pro. This is definitely one of the biggest cons, and one that is real and you definitely have to plan and research for. There are real environmental concerns if you're going to be living anywhere near sort of a wastewater treatment plant or a landfill. For example, there are two big ones that you should know about: the Woodward Avenue wastewater treatment plant, and then in Upper Stoney Creek, there is a huge landfill that's been there for many years now. This was built after there were already homes within this area, and residents definitely fought against this, but unfortunately lost, and it still exists to this day, even though it was supposed to be removed. So we don't know when exactly that landfill will be removed. So anybody living in that sort of Upper Stoney Creek area can get some pretty bad odors at certain times of the year. So if you're new to the city and you're looking at pre-construction, for example, there's been homes that were built after this landfill was there. They might have seen it in the winter time, or they just didn't know about the existence of this landfill at all, and now it is horrendous at times. So you really got to be careful. You really have to work with someone who actually knows the city, because this is a big con and this can affect you in huge ways. Imagine you buy a pre-construction home, you buy a townhome, for example, in the low 600s or 700s. Now we're looking at around sometimes low 800s, getting into the detached price range or semi-detached price range, and all of a sudden there's a landfill smell that you just can't stand. And that is real and has happened, and if you want to move away, that's going to cost you money. So these are the kind of things that you need to know before you make a move to Hamilton. So that's the real deal on Hamilton, the pros and cons and everything in between. For a lot of people, the affordability, the location, the green space, it's exactly what they're looking for. But for some people, if they're looking for cleaner, safer Toronto at a much reduced price, then it might not check every single box. Now, if you're thinking about making a move to Hamilton and you want to learn more about it, then you're going to want to check out this video next. And if you're ready to learn more about Hamilton real estate, then check out the list of preferred homes linked down in the description below.